I'm Eneino, a former Challenger ADC coach that coached multiple people on achieving their dream rank, and today I will try to explain you what you are actually missing to get that last win that you never managed to get, even if you go ahead. Today I will show you a game where I snowballed really hard in a laning phase around Grandmaster Challenger, and I'll try to explain you all the thought process between what I did and how you can replicate it as well. So currently I'm playing a really famous Chinese build of a player in China, which is playing Jinx. It's an Abris build, so you basically rush Abris, get a Dirk, and snowball from there. We really look for this early trade, just alternating in between each other, getting some good trades, and eventually we take the enemy summoners. So we start with their flash and yell down, and their flash down. And because of that, we actually win the laning phase. I'm just like never letting them back off, right? So that could be you as well, right? You take the enemy summoners, and you're punishing every single auto, every single tiny miss position. You get the advantage, you crash the wave, and we get an advantage. Going a bit faster, just like showing you a bit what happened here. We take a double kill even here. So we are currently ahead. We're seeing 2-0. I get item advantages, pretty easy. Dirk, she has only 2 longswords. Another kill. Just like snowballing the lane, really, nothing crazy. Another kill here, another kill here. Just like a 5-0 lane, ultra stomped, okay? My team is not ultra ahead. I am the one being ahead. So what are the top things that we are looking at right now when you're ahead as an ADC? I want you to understand how the game works from like a technical perspective. So we're gonna pick the pen and explain you what happens now after you take bot lane tower, okay? So if the enemy ADC is ultra behind, and you see that the enemy ADC is actually ultra behind, yes, 38 CS, 1-5, the enemy ADC still has to finish bot lane quest. And that's quite important because people never remember this bot lane quest concept. That's the bot lane quest. And you gotta fucking finish it, because if you go mid lane now, as Yunara, it takes double the time to get the 300 gold bonus, which in reality I already have. So I got the quest because I got the tower, I'm really near to closing it, so I can easily go mid lane and just like finish the last 3-4 points that I need, but like Yunara needs a lot of time still, and so she's forced to stay bot lane by freezing, holding a wave here, taking waves. She's kind of forced to do that, and that's why heavily winning bot lane is a huge advantage right now. Back in the time, the enemy ADC could have still like handshaked and say, okay, enemy ADC goes mid lane, I go mid lane as well. But currently you're delaying your spike because of bot lane quest, so winning hard lane phase is a huge advantage. And that's the first advantage that we have. So we know that if the enemy Yunara comes mid lane, she's gonna delay a lot of air spikes, sorry. So with this information in mind, we know that the enemy might make a lot of overextending mistakes on bot side, and we're gonna play against the enemy mid laner, or our mid laner can play a bit more, and we have more open space into this part of the map. Because there's a Yunara, which is a fucking minion, right? And this part of the map, it's really easy to enter, because Yunara is really weak. So we have some plans from here. The first plan is to invade this part of the map, play for Drake, and playing Herald is a bit different, right? Because playing Herald or top shot objective in general is the opposite side to where Yunara is. Okay? So playing for top lane would simply mean that all the lead that I took doesn't really matter in this case, because I'm playing to the opposite side. So if you see carefully this game, my top laner is way more behind than the other one. Like my enemy top laner is going 10 CS per minute, 1-0. So playing for an hypothetical Herald is 10 times harder than playing for bot lane Drake. And that's something that you want to keep in mind. If your team wants to play top side fight, Yunara has time to catch up, play a lot of waves, because we are committing into this play. Also, since the enemy is slightly stronger there, we don't want to play there. We actually don't. So that's what this video wants to make you understand. There's a weak side and a strong side, basically. If you're winning heavily bot lane, chances are that your top laner is losing hard. And that's probably how your games are and how you feel most of the times, no? I know it well. Like, you always have that top laner which is like going crazy strong. And in this case, we just like slice them up in half. Boom, we sliced it, no? As you can see, we sliced them up. And this part of the map is weak, and this part of the map is strong. You wanna play on your strong, like on the weak side of the enemy, and not on their strong side, because this gives the chance of the enemy to come back, okay? This has to be like a crystal clear. So as Jinx right now, my objective is to play for Drakes, play for this part of the map, and look for mid lane tower in the meanwhile. Those are the 3 things that we can look out for. Nothing takes off that we can't play for Herald. I simply explained you the process that we're thinking about and what is the next things that we're actually looking out for. Be really careful. You can take this mid lane tower if you have many conditions, such as really good warding. In this case, we have a really good ward here, a really good ward here, a really good ward here. Just like in general, a lot of vision to help me out in this tower. On top of that, we have the Trash Lantern, which is always ready to be dropped. So in this case, pushing mid lane consistently, it's actually fine. I gotta be really careful about the Twitch. We're gonna see it in a second. The guy picks me off in a really bad wave. I mean, we also make mistakes. We are humans. But in general, my objective is to push this mid wave tower, get it as fast as I can. And also my jungler can help me on this process where we can just like force the tower quite hard together, or also look for a top lane rotation. Playing for top lane kill is much harder. First of all, because this guy is tank. Second of all, because this guy has a lot of HP. Many other reasons. And he's ahead and he has first item and my Aurelion is behind. So we would rather play for this part of the map. I want to show you like how much pressure I did here. Like so many players, they just like stand still. If you have informations, just do it, really. If you don't have informations, that's a really troll play, but I want you to look at that. First of all, we get the pick off, and that's what decides that I can play way more safe here in mid lane, no? If this guy dies, like the enemy jungler dies, I want to show you that. So the guy dies because I rocket him. Okay, the enemy jungler is dead. And probably there could have been Twitch here, right? There could have been, but as soon as we see him or we don't know, like I have the shadow of my jungler, because this guy can easily just come here and say, okay, we are free now. I feel like I'm covered. I feel like I can do that. I feel like I need this tower without actually dying. Because we're free, they are 2 at best with Nico and Yunara, and maybe Twitch. So it's a 3 versus 3 on all the line, and I think this tower is not that hard against those champions. So you need to understand how much you can push your lead without actually dying. That's the hard part. You gotta find the sweet balance where you're like, okay, I'm winning the lane, I'm pushing the lead without actually over-trolling too hard. At the same time, I don't want you to play ultra scared because you have a shutdown, right? I have a shutdown, but if I play ultra scared, the game is just gonna like catch up, and then all my value just went downhill. So that's the whole concept. You gotta find the perfect balance. In this case, the enemy jungler made a mistake, so we can push the lead even more here. Just looking for a few trades. Trades, just like some tower damage as well. And shit, I put them low, they don't die, but from this position, Graves is just invading, looking for a lot of stuff. Those guys are really low. And the air Twitch kills me sadly, because again, I didn't pay attention to that. So that's like another example. You might lose out your lead by playing over-aggressive, and that's just an example. I made a mistake, not respecting the Twitch. I wanted to try to get the tower. But that's not necessarily that bad. I'm just explaining you, like, the play in itself was really good, they were low, and I kind of went a bit too overextended by doing that. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong on doing it, because you're ahead. And so, giving a tiny shutdown like the one I did, it was 165 gold. It's completely fine as long as you're making pressure and you feel like you're playing a really good game. Here I die again, I believe. Don't really remember. Yeah, I died again, because I didn't respect the Twitch again. So, there were some decent fights in the end because my queen was ready for it. So it was a 3 versus 2 anyways, and we took a 2 for 1. That's really good anyways. I also want you to know another thing. Hybris is a really strong item right now because you're getting so much value with it. I want to show you that my jungler, my mid laner, and me, we have all Hybris. Mainly for the reason that if you're fighting and you're getting a trade-off, you're just gonna get more AD anyways. So you're snowballing by simply fighting. That's like such a stupid concept that I don't even understand why it's in the game. So if I see a fight and I know, okay, I might die for it, but I get 3 kills, that's 9 stacks of AD in the future for me. So that's like a raw 350 gold value, simply because I fought. And on top of that, we have to adapt if I get a kill or anything like that. So Hybris is a really strong item as a first item, and that's also why I'm playing this build right now. I wanted to mention that. So fighting and doing a 1 for 2 in this context with all these Hybris, right? We're stacking 1 on Queen, 1 on Jinx, 1 on Graves. Like every time we're fighting, we're just stacking them up. So again, heavily trading in this game is heavily rewarded. And that's why I'm also like heavily looking for fights regardless of that. Here I think I die again, not respecting the Twitch, because I was reading chat. So you see, I made a shit ton of mistakes. And I went like from 7-1 to like 7-4. That's like an advice for you to understand that some people probably feel like they are playing a bit too safe. That's what I want you to understand. Like some people play way too safe. They are 7-0. They have the 1k gold shutdown, and because of the 1k gold shutdown, they are playing extra careful every single time, and they don't take risk at all. I hate this. I actually hate it. You're wasting a shit ton of time on thinking, oh, I'm gonna give 1k gold if I do this, if I do that. Just play like you always would. And that helps out a lot, because you're creating a lot of tension on yourself. I do feel it every single time as well. If the game is all on your hands, you're 25-0, that's where tension builds up. And that's why every single time you're like going ahead, you have a lot of tension, and you're like, oh, if I do a mistake, I'm fucked. And then you do the mistake and you release all the tension. You're releasing all the tension that you had before dying, and now you are like, oh, I died. And your mood kind of like goes down hills. You're like, oh, fuck, I died. Now we're gonna lose all the lead. I lost the game. And then you're gonna think that it's either your fault or your team's fault. I don't like this type of approach. You need to start controlling your emotions, because this happens way more than what you think. When you have a lead, play like you normally would. Start thinking, okay, whatever, that's just a game. Don't think I have all the lead, if I make a mistake I lose. Too much tension. You're building tension, you release tension as you die, and when you release tension, you don't want to play anymore. So we take red buff, Millen here, we play for top lane objective. The enemy was quite late, despite him having the push. He didn't look for that. And here I see another really easy play where I want to show you that. They look for a dive on Aurelion. I come early to the invade. Sorry, to the dive, not the invade. And then we kill both of them. Nice, that's another 2 flat kills, another, Habri stacks. And I don't remember if I tried to hit the tower here. So I tried to hit the tower, but I respect the Twitch this time. Sometimes I also remember about the guy. And yeah, he dies. Because we were 2, I saw the teleport, so we get this top lane tower. If you remember what I said, I talked about the fact that after we take the Millen tower, the next objective was to take the top lane tower. The fact that the enemy made a mistake trying to dive was even better for us, because we made a clear rotation after the Herald, and then we took the top lane tower, which was the offside one. Okay? I don't want it to be too hard for you, but I mean, I'm kind of like explaining it in an easy way. So what did we do for now? Like just a TLDR. We took bot lane tower, went mid lane, looked for fights mainly, forced mid tower, went for objectives, and then looked for an offside tower. In the end, if you think about it, there was nothing crazy. It's just about how fast you can do it, right? It's like, how fast can you actually get the advantage? If you watch a low Willow game, all of this happens in 32 minutes, even if you won the lane. So you kind of have to force what I did with your team. Your team is not gonna force it in low Willow, so you gotta push them on what I did. That's pretty much the difference. For example, they're not doing Herald, you call for Herald. They're not punishing something, help them and call that you should punish that. That's how a really good player plays out. Now, when you're Aguilo, you don't need to do that, because your players already do. But the problem is, do you actually know what you have to do? If you don't know it, it's really, really hard to actually play the game anyways. So that's also another thing, right? Here we play for this tower again. That's also a kind of a deep tower, but again, 2 free plates, another fight, another kill. And from here, it's Millen tower, top lane tower, bot lane tower, of course. While in all of that, we're playing for Drake and Nash. Nothing crazy, really. Again, 1 minute and a half for Drake, which simply means that we want to be ready for the Drake fight if we really want to play Drake fight. And so the vision has to be more towards this area, playing for Millen tower and bot lane tower. If Nash was faster, we would have done the opposite. Ward here, push Millen, push topside. It heavily depends on which objective you want to play out for. And usually, depending on the comp that you have, you can play in 2 ways. Okay, it's not that hard. Now, let's see what happens. I don't really remember either. Think the Twitch plays again for me. I kill him by flashing forward. And I kill this guy as well. That was a complete stomp, actually. So, in this case, they just like went way too deep. Twitch was 2 levels behind. Tried to go for the pick, but I didn't manage to flash perfectly the E. Take the Lantern, kill the Yunara, kill the Nico, and then just, take mid tower, because they made a huge mistake again. So in this case, we're not even playing, we're not the ones creating the mistake. They are simply trying to get back desperately, and they aren't able to do that. In this way, the game goes even faster. If the enemy does not make mistakes, you play by the book. That's how I like to call it. So by the book simply means vision and objective, no? So you play a bit slower. Play a bit slower, which means we slowly chip the Millen tower, we slowly chip the bot lane tower, we prepare vision here, and then we go for Drake. That's a normal League of Legends game. That's what would usually happen. But if the game, like the enemy is just like consistently throwing right and left, and you have item advantage, you're simply gonna fight, and that's what I did here. I had item advantage, why would I be scared of fighting? And so that's why my item advantage actually worked out really well, because I never stopped fighting the whole game. If you notice that, I actually never stopped fighting in the whole game. Minute 20, I played fights. I died a few times, absolutely yes. but my lead just kept growing every single time into the game because every single second into this replay, I did something. I pushed mid lane, I pushed topside, looked for a pick, looked for a Drake, looked for an Herald. I was never standing still doing nothing. And that's the most important thing when it comes to low elo. I see many people, like, there's a fight, there's a game which is long, like 15 minutes. If you are 25-0 and the game is long 15 minutes and you die only once, the only time that you died, you have a 1 minute cooldown on death. And that's where the enemy can close the game. So you are not gonna get punished as much as when you die in the early game. So dying at minute 25, for example, it's not as heavy as dying at minute 50. You need to understand that. Because if you play safe the whole game, but then you make a mistake in the end game, it doesn't really matter. You played too safe in early, where you could have played a bit more oppressive, and you played worse in the late game because you weren't ready. You weren't thinking about actually the whole things, and you also, again, stacked up a lot of pressure, tension, something that you don't want to have as ADC, because then you're gonna start shaking. It happens, trust me when I say it, like your end is gonna shake, your heartbeat is gonna accelerate. There's also like a huge study between that, but I can easily tell you that that's what actually happens. So it's also like a mental thing. It's not only like a technical thing. And that's also why you're losing more games. So again, this game I just like played. I played the game. I didn't care. I played everything I had in front of me. I did play it as long as it kind of like made sense, right? And then the enemy FF'd. Guys, let me know if you enjoyed this video and it helped you out to understand how to push the lead as ADC. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and share it with your friends. If you didn't, let me know down in the comments what else you will have loved to see. See you in the next video. Bye.